The 25 numbers, when they came in, from across the nation, they reported alcohol industry 175 billion down in sales for the year 25. And I think that's the first time that alcohol sales have decreased. We stumbled across that building and I walked in the first time. I was like, this has a lot of potential to be a brewery.
To your point about traffic and people, whatever it is needs to draw over 1.2 million visitors, because that's what the Trop did.
Yeah. The key to success in any business, no matter what you do, there's somebody else doing it, right? So the thing that separates you is what makes you different. That was what we felt was like really killing the industry. So we're like, how do we keep the non-beer drinkers wanting to come here? So that's where our spaces came in. We had more sunshine, I think, than anybody in the country on the average. It's with the Suncoast, like we have it.
Tampa is by far the best airport in the world.
100%.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to Talkin St. Pete. I am your host, Ryan Bogden. First, I want to just thank you for all watching. It's been such a journey with this podcast and so much fun interviewing amazing business owners, artists, movers and shakers from around town, city officials, everyone. And we couldn't do it without your support and love. And we want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by Bogden Homes here at Keller Williams St. Pete. If you have any real estate needs here at Keller Williams St. Pete, we can help you in any way, fashion. Even if it's not me, I can help you find a great agent. Find our contact information below in the description. Enough about that. Now on to our awesome guest. I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Richie Hamm, the owner and founder of Outcast Brewing. Richie, thank you for being here.
A pleasure to be here. Excited about it.
I just want to jump back in. So we were just having a great conversation about how it was just St. Paddy's Day this week. You had record-breaking sales at another pub that you have. And but overall, you said last year the stats were pretty crazy on the alcohol business is down.
Yeah.
What was the number on that? Let's just go right back into that, and then we can talk about all the things. But I think that consumer, like people listening, especially here in St. Pete, because we have such a diverse crowd.
It's true. Yeah.
Will find this interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the 25 numbers when they came in, from across the nation, they reported alcohol industry 175 billion down in sales for the year 25. And I think that's the first time since prohibition that alcohol sales have decreased in the United States, especially to that number. So there is definitely, a market gap that we're seeing happen. And you see it, in the bar industry. I mean, there's a lot of places in downtown St. Pete that have shut down shop, a lot of closures, a lot of people downsizing. And, you're starting to see a lot of the distributors, kind of cleaning off stuff off their portfolio. I know like even Anheuser-Busch is closing some factories and, kind of reducing. So, I mean, there definitely is, some market gap that we're feeling. I think it's twofold. I think the THC industry has definitely played a role with the younger crowd. You can't scroll social media right now without finding like, oh, alcohol is going to do this to you, but, here's this THC drink that you can drink in an old fashioned instead of bourbon, that's going to be healthier, allegedly, and all that kind of stuff. So, we're really seeing an influx of that. And I think that's taken a big piece of it. The second piece, I think, is the weight loss drugs. Because a lot of people take those GLP-1s, those tirzepatides and all that kind of stuff, and it actually does suppress the appetite and your body not really wanting alcohol because it's kind of in that same family, a lot of carbs to burn and a lot of stuff that your body goes, yeah, we don't want it, we're full. So I think those two things together, that fad really growing with the weight loss drugs, and then the THC component of things has really kind of put the alcohol industry up against the wall for the first time probably in a really long time.
So interesting that we start the conversation off like this, but I think it's really relevant in the time that we're in. And I think as you were saying that, it almost positions a craft brewery as a unique spot because that is a niche in the market.
It is.
Right. So I mean, Outcast Brewing, you guys started that in September 24. You opened doors, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Open, closed, opened again because of the hurricanes, right?
We had a fun September 24 in October.
Yeah, what a time to open shop.
Oh, it was rough. Yeah. It was crazy. Like, our opening was fantastic. Like, the community just, I think St. Pete does such a great job of supporting, like, local places. Like, when you open, people love, the diversity of all the things that there are to do here. And so, we were super appreciative of the way people welcomed us, into the community. But yeah, what a great time with hurricanes. And then, you get into 25 and all of a sudden everyone's like, surprise, we're drinking THC. And you're like, awesome. That's such a great, way to start. But I think like the thing with Outcast that's been kind of different with it is we set out to create sort of a different vibe. There's tons of great breweries in St. Pete. St. Pete actually is well known for its brewery community. I mean, there's some great in Tampa Bay as well. Kind of the whole region. We've got some great places here. But with Outcast, the one thing that we wanted to do is, the market was flooded with craft beer. It's been a fad. Fads kind of fizzle sometimes, but the mainstays, I think, kind of stay true. So what we wanted to do was create more of a community place. A destination that people choose to go to, not just because where we're located, we don't get a ton of foot traffic, but people pick to go there. So our thing was, why do people want to come here, and what can we do to help facilitate, those types of things to kind of appeal to more than just a beer drinking crowd.
Yeah. So what are some of those things? I think that's an amazing concept, especially how we started this conversation, right?
Yeah.
That has to be like a need.
It is. It's figuring out what you do well, right? I think the key to success in any business, no matter what you do, there's somebody else doing it, right? So the thing that separates you is what makes you different or unique, and where can you capitalize on that niche that you have. And I think for us, the building that we had just naturally created space that we were like, oh, this is kind of wonky, but also I'm like, it's also kind of interesting because we could maybe do some things a little different here. A lot of breweries you go to, tap room, beer room, they may or may not have an outside, probably some music, happening. That's kind of the footprint that's worked in craft brewery for, the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So for us, what we did was we kind of combined a bunch of different things into one house. So we've got, what we call our stadium, which is like our sports bar. So you can go in the tap room and have that normal brewery experience, see the, all the equipment and all the brewing happening, live behind the glass window. But then we created that sports room with, Sunday ticket and all that kind of stuff for the sports crowd. Because, the thing that's weird about being here is so many people aren't from here.
Right.
So you have such a diverse following of sports teams.
Yes.
That it's really important that you can appeal to the entire
you need that Sunday
country.
ticket, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
need that
huge
Sunday
piece.
ticket.
So, but the thing that we found is, and this was true in my house, whereas I love craft beer, my wife's not a huge beer drinker. So our time at breweries were usually very small. It would be come in, maybe have a snack, if they have a food truck or whatever, try a couple beers, a flight or something, and then it's on to the next thing.
Right.
That was what we felt was like really killing the industry. So we're like, how do we keep the non-beer drinkers wanting to come here? So that's where our spaces came in. So we created the sports bar. We created a wine room that actually has like not just, Bartles and James, like a lot of breweries, just have just like real, cheap off the shelf wine to have something different. We kind of took it a step further, and we worked with our distributors, and we created a wine list that, we get asked to be in contests all the time for wine lists. So we have a very robust wine list at the brewery with some great wines that you
That's
can try.
cool.
Yeah, we have growers come in. Just a couple weeks ago, we had Small Vines from California.
Wow.
Their owner-operator came out and did a live tasting with everybody. And so we just do a lot of unique things like that. We have our lounge that's Art Deco-y kind of vibe in it, and it was kind of made like for the ladies, like a lot of mocktails back there.
Yeah.
We do some of the watch parties for some of the shows that the ladies are really into, stuff like that,
So it's almost not fair. I mean, yes, you're a brewery because you brew beer, but you're like also like a place that just come hang out and there's something for everyone.
Yeah, events. I mean, obviously capitalizing on the fitness stuff. We've got a great like yoga instructor that comes in, and she does Pilates and yoga. And
That's
they
awesome.
do outside or inside, just depending on the weather and what works. Pinellas Run Club, those guys are there a lot, and they bring.
Oh, crowd, right?
It's wild when they show up. It's like it's just a massive people. It's awesome though. We love those guys. So just a lot of different stuff like that. Markets, introducing the community and giving artists here locally, a place to kind of go and showcase some of their, crafts or art or whatever they're doing, making. So it's really just I don't think we've turned away anybody. It's kind of like, yeah, let's try that. That sounds cool. A couple weeks ago we did an EDM night, late in the night after we closed, and just kind of. Capitalized on that vibe, and it went off really well. So,
That's
of
a
course,
whole nother community here.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
some sound complaints?
Yep. No,
Yeah,
we
no,
did. We haven't actually. We had a couple originally just because where we're located, kind of a weird little gig. But we worked with the neighbors and made sure that when we do have some of the bigger shows and stuff going on outside, that we're mindful, of our neighbors because we want to be a part of the community.
Yeah, no,
not,
it's
not just a nuisance.
right.
And it stinks when you're like that, and you look at the code and the way things are, and you're like, we really could push this, but like for what?
Right.
We want to work well with our neighbors. The HOA meets there, for Woodlawn Park and
Oh, that's awesome.
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really become, I think, more than just a brewery. It's become an event center.
Yep.
Where
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the kind of sounds like that was the vibe you were going for.
it was. It really was. A different component to fit different needs. That if you got 5 couples that want to go hang out, and half of them don't want to drink beer, they can still have a good time there and find something that's going to work for them.
That's awesome. So let's go back to the original, because your origin story, you didn't set out necessarily to have a brewery, right? It's
That's
like
true.
you found the space and then the idea came.
Yeah, our initial kind of idea was we wanted to open up an authentic Irish pub here in St. Pete. We felt like there's some good ones, but not really capitalized on like the true idea of like the Irish community house. And so we had kind of started looking at different properties to do that, and we stumbled across the pub that we bought. It was already an established business, so we bought that instead of recreating the wheel, and then thanks to Helene, we had a great opportunity to sort of make the space really what we envisioned it to be and bring in a little bit more.
So you got water in it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Not enough to do what we did, but we felt like it was a perfect time. Where that location is on 4th Street, a lot of the houses in the neighborhoods down from us got absolutely smoked. So a lot of our regulars, and we have a huge regular following at that place, that they're there week in and week out, and they were hurting. So we decided, now's our chance. While they're hurting with doing that, like let's help them, let's help ourselves, like let's kind of make this space what we wanted. So we rebranded it and completely remodeled, the inside, new furniture and all that kind of fun stuff to really bring in a little bit more of we felt like the true Irish vibe. So that was what we started out to do. In the process, we wanted a couple commercial properties. We could lease and just kind of do that to make some of our money work for us. And we stumbled across that building, and I walked in the first time, and I was like, this has a lot of potential to be a brewery.
Yeah, so not owning a brewery previously or having the expertise on how to brew beer, you had a quite interesting experience and pretty cool of how you found your master brewer.
Yeah. We so there's a great guild, Florida Brewers Guild, that's super helpful, and the brewing community here in St. Pete. They've been awesome. The guys at Three Daughters have been fantastic, and Green Bench, and I mean I could go name them all because they've all been so instrumental in helping us. So we learned a lot of like what not to do from those guys, and kind of where to look. So we knew what we wanted to create. So we had to find the personality that would fit our team and that would work well with like kind of what we envisioned. And so we put out an ad listing for what we were wanting to do, and we're completely overwhelmed. I think it was like 1,500 resumes we got within like 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
From all over the world. Guys in Germany, Austria, some really cool breweries over there.
I just like in a short amount of time, 1,500 people around the world are that interested in St. Pete to come here and brew beer.
Yeah.
It says a lot about the brewing industry. It says, 1, there's a lot of brewers, and 2, St. Pete's a hot spot.
It is. I mean, everybody, what's not to love?
I've now close to 100 episodes talking about what's to love. There's a lot.
It is. Like, you could look at an events calendar on social media across this city, and almost every day find something to do. That's unique and it's different than the norm. So I think that's a blessing and a curse as a business owner, because you have a lot that you're up against. I mean, last weekend we were talking about St. Patrick's Day just a couple of days ago. We did great. The weekend before, Saturday, was when a lot of places did. We had the St. Patrick's Fest downtown that was blocked off. We also had Reggae Rouse Up the same weekend. And to still pull the amount of people and do the revenue that we did as a small, little establishment on that weekend shows you how much, how many people are here, A, and B, like, how much.
Well, it's a nice day on a Saturday. You want to go out and do something.
Exactly.
You don't want to sit inside.
Yeah.
Right.
St. Pete's got it. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. You know, I mean, the diversity of St. Patrick's Day events, Reggae Rise Up,
I know.
and just all the other random stuff
Yeah.
that's going on throughout the day. It's like, you know, I mean, whatever you're in the mood for, man, you'll find it. You know,
It's quite awesome. And you're originally from Tallahassee, right?
it's I was born in Tallahassee, grew up in the Panhandle, and so I'm a Florida boy. You know, through and through. I've always loved St. Pete.
Yeah, how'd you land here?
In Tampa. Basically, just kind of trying to figure out, you know, with our family, is split family, you know, and kids and all that stuff, like where would work the best. And we started when we first, you know, moved here. We lived in Bradenton for a while. We just kind of slowly inched our way, you know, into St. Pete. And then once we kind of landed here and felt like this was really where we wanted to set up shop, that's when we started, you know, investing back into the city and the community and coming up with these places.
It's cool ideas, man.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. So when you're not, so like, what's your day-to-day look like, right? You got 2 shops you're running. What's the name of the Irish pub?
That's Irish Pub on 4th.
Irish Pub on 4th, right? So and we got Outcast Brewing. So as an owner-operator, what's your day-to-day look like?
It varies. You know, it's a lot. The restaurant industry, especially, you know, it's constantly evolving. Prices are kind of all over the map. You know, tariffs, you know, have changed the game. We do import, especially for the pub, a lot of our stuff, fish and things like that, because we want it to be authentic. We have the same problem at Outcast. A lot of our raw materials come from Germany and Canada, you know, overseas, different hops and, you know, different barleys and oats and all that kind of fun stuff. So, you know, one of the things that we're watching currently is, you know, just the market and how things are evolving in that sense, because, you know, those tariffs, you know, they work, you know, to the level that they do, but it also drastically changes your margins almost like weekly. So it becomes this, you know, push-pull game of trying to figure out, you know, what makes the most sense to keep your prices where they should be.
Right.
And I think that's the thing, you know, as people see pricings, you know, continue to like inch up at places, you have to like, you know, you have to understand, like, for the business owner, it stinks because you've got, you know, as everyone sees at the grocery store, your prices keep going up. Well, our prices go up too.
Right.
And so then you're like, man, like, I really need to sell this for, you know, here at $10, let's say, you know, to keep my customers, you know, where they're getting good value for that. But at the same time, we just ate 25% because beef just went up 25%, you know? So it's like the chicken wing, you know, deal during COVID when, you know, chicken wings were like $150, you know, at places because you just couldn't get them, you know?
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a business, you're getting squeezed on the back end and you don't want to bring it on to the customer, but at some point you have to.
At some point you have to, you know, to keep in the market trends. And that's what we watch is kind of what we're experiencing and what other places like us are experiencing.
I think you know, just the other side of that, as I think about it though, like just like rents rarely come down, you rarely see prices come down. And right, once the consumer gets used to a price, even if your costs do come, I'm not saying you, I'm just market in general, says, well, they've been paying it and our costs went down, so we're just gonna keep that. And I think that's a dangerous place, but like it's also hard to, how do you can't like, unless, I mean, you can undercut your competitors then and then like take market share back, and maybe that's a strategy to do that. But just watching that, right? I think COVID really showed us, like, I mean, it wasn't before COVID. Like now, if I stand up, I have one of my personal rules. My buddy Dan gave me this, and I think it's genius. If I get a smoothie and we just exchange like this, I don't know why I have to tip you.
Right.
Right? Like that was a COVID thing that now is still here to stay. And there's that like slight moment every time of feeling guilty of, do I leave 20% for paying for a $15 smoothie? That, right? Like, you know, what's happening?
There's so many things like that you can point back to. Like one of the ones that gets me that's still around is, you know, everybody remembers 9/11 and, you know, the birth of the TSA through that. Well, one of the things that the government allowed the airlines to do post 9/11 to recoup the revenue that they lost was they allowed them to start charging for bags. Mm-hmm. Well, unless you have status tier with an airline, guess what you're doing still today?
You're
still paying for a bag, right?
Because it's the norm now.
Yeah, because you're accustomed to it. It's so, you know, that's just extra revenue they've been allowed to, you know, to hold on to. And I agree with you. Like the tipping culture, I think, in the States has gotten a little bit crazy. that there is that, like, you know, when you're doing something transactional like that, that it's a one-off, and you're like, that little tip box comes up, and, you know, you feel pressured into it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, who's watching me? Are they watching me? What I'm going to push? You know, like, even you go to, like, the Rays game.
Right.
Or the Bucks game, and you go get a drink. You know, the thing, you put your card down, tap it. Oh, it wants you to, you know.
Leave a tip. I already just paid $15 for a bottle of water.
Yeah. It's,
you know, so I did, you know, there are some times, and I just said, you know what, I don't need to feel bad on that one, on the tipping one. I know we're kind of off, but in terms of prices, we're just talking about consumers adapting things. You know, when I go to a coffee shop, I get a black coffee. Yeah. It takes 30 seconds for you to get me my coffee.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm already paying $6 for it.
For a black coffee.
For a black
exactly.
coffee, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to leave an extra $2. Sometimes I do, right?
Yep.
You know, cute girl behind me, maybe I will.
Yeah. There you go.
No, it is. But I can feel like I feel for the entrepreneur, especially in the city, right? Because it's not just cost of goods, right? Rents go up, other things happen, you know, because your groceries go up for the family. There's other things that happen, you know, and luckily that's why I think it's really important. And I love this. The reason for this show is just to support local business and keep the money circulating in the city.
Yep.
Right. Is most important to me.
Yeah. And I mean, it's tough, you know, if you could just go off, you know, your COGS, you know, the restaurant and bar business would be awesome. But it's all the line items that come after the COGS. You have to keep an eye on those, obviously. I mean, that's really where you make, because the rest of it you can't control.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have the ability to go find utilities from someplace else.
No.
So if Duke Energy goes up on their prices, it affects the bottom line of, like, you know, our success rate, and everything else, insurance rates, and, you know, taxes, you know, and all of that fun stuff that gets passed, you know. And the one big one that we see a lot, and this is the kind of stuff that I do on the daily, right? I'm looking at these reports, but I'm also looking at, like, what's trending, what are people mad about in the industry. And one of the things that I think that you see happen a lot is that everybody does, because people, they just, you know, if you're not in it, you don't get it to a degree, is the credit card surcharge. Mm-hmm. Loads of people, that's a big complaint now, that businesses don't tell people they're doing that. And, you know, they give you that extra 2%, you know, to use your card. And it varies. Sometimes, you know, American Express, obviously the highest, you know, rate that the business owner is paying. So, you know, there's little things like that you see, and you're like, okay, so this is like, you know, 2% of something. All right, if I do this, does this 2% keep me from killing my customers someplace else? You know, we just, unfortunately, after, you know, we reopened, we had to go up on some of our prices a little bit, not astronomically. And I think most of our people did really well with it, because we, as owners, we tried to talk through some of that stuff to people and say, like here's what we're doing, you know, and here's why. Mm-hmm. You know, our costs went up. We want to not go down on quality. We want to give you the same experience that you've been coming here for. And in order to do that, you know, we have to do this.
Well, I mean, just goes back to, right, it's nice to have so many owners in town because of the amount of small businesses that are here, that you do feel like you can have that connection. I think that's what keeps St. Pete, you know, I've said this so many times on the show, but that's what keeps St. Pete so special, is I have the opportunity to sit here with you today and talk about two shops that are right down the street.
Yep.
You know, and you can have that conversation with your customers, and you have that connection to the ownership. You know, it's not going out of town to some larger corporate entity or something like that, you know? So I'm glad you're able to tell your story, and that's literally what all this we're doing here, right? Just expanding more on that story.
And I think the more you get local people involved in the community, which is one of the reasons we wanted to have a footprint here ourselves, like as a family, was, you know, there's something to be said about community. And I think St. Pete's an interesting place because it is a big city, but it also is not at the same time. And there's so much access that if you know where to look and you just start having the conversations, the community here, the business community especially, they will help you out. It's incredible, honestly, like how great everybody is.
And that is a story that has been said by so many. So it's like just a part of it. It's like, of course we're going to support you.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. Even if we're another brewery, of course we're going to support you.
Yeah, and you don't see that even in the state. You don't see that everywhere else. The way St. Pete is this, you know, just
I know. I'm trying to figure out, like, I haven't put a finger on as to why, but I think it's just a part of the, like, it is just part of the culture. And then if that, there's actually, have you ever read the book, The Tipping Point?
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about this, that surgeons, maybe they have a certain type of way of doing a surgery in a certain city, and then they move to a totally different state in a different hospital. Within a week or less, they will adapt the new strategy at that hospital, even if they were hired because of the way that they do things at the other hospital, because you immediately adapt to your environment. And I think the case in that book was that, you know, there's so much fraud in the medical industry with, all Medicaid and Medicare, all that stuff, and fake pharmacies and all that being opened up. And the guy that moved to Miami was trying to use that to his defense to say, well, I just became a product of my environment.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I'm not guilty. I was just a product of my environment. But it does set something to how quickly we adapt as human beings. Right. I'm always looking at macro too. I think we're interesting, you know, as species as we walk on Earth. So as you absorb and breathe the St. Pete air, it's like, I have to be a good owner.
Yeah. And you're going to become like, the thing is, I think is so interesting about St. Pete is just even like, there's a lot of, you know, political issues that our country, you know, currently is facing, no matter where you want to.
There always has been.
Yeah. But it just feels more in your face, I think, currently. And I think the interesting thing about St. Pete is like, it's just such this weird melting pot of people from all over the place. So they bring in different ideas and things. And, you know, I think the adaptation here is everyone just goes like, it's just St. Pete, man. Like, we're just going to get along. Like, we don't really care, you know, about that. And even if you walked in here caring about it, within 6 months, you're not going to really care anymore. You're like, it's whatever. It's just, is what it is. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool because it does give St. Pete this unique culture that you just don't see in Florida. The rest of Florida is straight beach resorts and the same, except Orlando and Miami's got its own, you know, little thing going too. But the rest of it, you know, if you're up and down the Gulf Coast, like it's all very rinse and repeat. And, you know, we do have elements of that here. But St. Pete, like, is just
the downtown area. Like, you have 4th Street, Central, Beach Drive. And 9th, right?
Exactly.
Those are your. And if you're on those corridors, you know everybody. That's it. You know, you can't walk down Beach Drive on a Friday and not bump into somebody you know, or walking down Central or whatever. And I think that's just what makes it so cool. Right? Because you always get that little dopamine hit of like seeing somebody and feeling a part of the community and being embraced. It is really special. I'm just excited. And you know, the city's growing quickly. You know, more towers going up, more money coming to town, and I still think we're going to be able to keep this vibe because people want it. You know, I know it's changes. I say like change is inevitable, but I'd rather be changing because of growth and not because of her declining or dying.
Exactly.
Right. So embrace the change, but still keep the local element to it.
Yeah, agreed. You know, like with Outcast, one of the reasons we loved that location was it was tucked down, which is kind of why it got nicknamed Outcast, like to us internally at first, was because, you know, we weren't on that central corridor where a lot of the other, you know, breweries are right here downtown. We're just off of it, you know, kind of in a neighborhood, but also there's some industry around us. So we're just kind of in this weird, everyone's like, you're in it, but you're not.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, like we're a brewery, but we're also different. We're just kind of an outcast, like everywhere we look.
It fits perfect, man. It fits perfect.
That's kind of where that came from. You know, one of the reasons that location was so palatable at that time was, you know, the bonds had just gone, you know, we knew that was going through with the Rays, with Tropicana. And then, of course, you know, Miss Helene decided to wreck everyone's plans.
Yes.
And so that it initially felt like a gut punch when that whole thing got, and I was like, you know, this was really, I thought, going to change the dynamic down here. But honestly, like, I think now, like, looking back at it and looking now at some of the different, you know, ideas and options that are being bid on currently, I think it actually may be better for St. Pete.
Tell me more what your thoughts are on that.
I hate to lose them, right? You know, but I think it will allow St. Pete not to have to do something that the Rays want to do, that it allows St. Pete to do something that St. Pete wants to do. And the thing is like, what do we want that to look like? What can we put in there that's going to appeal to our community the best? And the millions of people that visit.
I agree. I think it has to be. I'm deep in the trenches on this whole thing a little bit. At least a few months ago, got asked to be on the news a couple times, talk about it, and interviewed a bunch of people. And to your point about traffic and people, whatever it is, needs to draw over 1.2 million visitors, because that's what the Trop did.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of business walking out the door that's not coming here. You know. Now, granted, I think we still have. It's either between 3 and 5 years left on that lease.
Yeah.
With the Trop, so it's not, but what happens after that, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like anyone can decide on a development plan, right, to make it work. It's been this crazy up and down the story and the politics and this, that, blah, blah. It's a mess. Yep. But it is one of the largest urban land developments happening in the country whenever it is.
Whenever it happens.
Whenever it happens. Yeah. And it will be cool.
Yeah.
We just got to get it right.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, it'll save the taxpayers some money, over time, not having to, quite commit probably what we were going to commit for that. It is a lot of revenue out the door, but depending on what we put in. And I think one of the things, St. Pete could definitely use a little bit more of is, like adequate, affordable housing, for the people who are going to work these type, we care a lot about our employees. Obviously, we see their lives, we know their stories, and so I think Florida's done a good job. Like we've raised the minimum wage for tipped employees, to a degree that I think is pretty fair. Finally getting there. I think we have one more increase in 26, and then that's they've kind of reached the new minimums there, which I think is good, but increasing salaries doesn't always equal, from an economic standpoint, what everyone thinks. And now they can afford it. And it's like, well, no, now it's just going to go up.
Right.
That's how it works. So like we said earlier, like prices very rarely go down. So, once you get to that benchmark level, you're like, this is a new floor. We're not going to dip below this regardless of what happens. So, I think whatever they do there, we need to have some legitimate plans there that we can continue to attract younger people and younger families to move here,
right?
And set up roots here, because it's a fantastic place to raise a family and have kids. And we have more sunshine, I think, than anybody like in the country. Yeah. On the average, it's what the Suncoast. Like we have it. It's fantastic. Outside of the 3 days a year that we have to put a hoodie on, you know what I mean?
Like, I know for sure. One of them was this week.
It was. St. Patrick's Day morning was pretty cold while we were outside getting things going.
I know. I walked out. I was like, whoa, I need a jacket. I don't check the weather often, and needed to this week. Richie, what's your background? Right before owning the pubs, I'm curious. Like, you're a smart guy, entrepreneurial driven. Like, where do you come from?
It's in the tech world.
Okay.
Doing a lot of telephony, things like that, telephones. We worked with some really big, like Zoom, Ring Central, places like that, and helped them, especially, of course, I got out of this right before COVID hit, which was, shoot.
Right, because everyone needed it.
Yeah. It was like, I was like, are you serious? Like now that goes, crazy, like globally, worldwide. But we helped initially kind of switch over a lot of the bigger Fortune 500 companies, especially, had invested millions of dollars in their meeting spaces to reduce travel costs for them, bringing sales, especially places with a lot of sales force, right? So you have all these tools that you can discuss and see KPIs and all those types of stuff, in the sales world, like instantaneously. Everyone has access to it. But when you're trying to meet together across the country, it gets, those used to be a lot of flights and a lot of cost. Well, if you can do that where everyone does it from home, or from their office that they're located in, and you can put 10 guys in a sales, conference room in California and another in New York, and you can run that meeting simultaneously and talk about this, you just saved a lot of money,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that, but a lot of these companies, some of the stuff they had was very not digitally driven. It was very analog. So how to create components to make these millions of dollars of investments they had made in making, some of these original super expensive conference rooms that the natural consumer couldn't afford to do. Small business definitely out of the window. Like those systems were, millions of dollars to do that across the space.
So you introduced a new technology and
We provided a solution to that, so it's like you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater because it's hard to get a CFO to sign off on, completely changing what you're doing when they go, well, yeah, 5 years ago we just invested in one of our clients, like a huge corporation. They had invested like $5.5 million globally into these conference centers, and they were doing actually trainings and teachings and some of these, so just crazy stuff.
these are still digital solutions.
There are now.
No, but that's what they invested the $5 million into.
They're old solutions.
But old digital solutions, but they were still digital.
They were still
But it just wasn't
quasi-digital, yeah.
Got it.
But, you had microphones hanging in conference rooms and projectors and, all this stuff. So, okay, now we can run this from a laptop.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So how do we go
It was
from...
like kind of a silly moment where they probably were like, why did we do that?
Yeah. They just, unfortunately, the technology was 5 years, behind them.
Right. And you missed the pop when Zoom was...
Just because most of these places are white-labeled Zoom.
Yep.
So... you're dealing with the same technology, and so it was like, well, look, we can save you.
So you were like inside sales for that? Is that what you-
Sort of. I kind of invented it, like what we did, how we did it, and created the systems around it as a contractor for those companies, and we're able to do some really cool like big things like all over the world. Ireland, we had some in India.
Cool.
We did a whole call center in India.
Wow.
For Apteen software. That was crazy. Like. That was wild.
So you've been to India?
I have.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's a cool place, man. But let me tell you, if you ever go to India and they ask if you want it hot, the answer is mild.
Oh, because
India hot is not hot. It is dangerous. But it was lovely people, lovely time. I really enjoyed being there. But that was kind of my background. Was
got it. Yep.
Did a lot of tech, things like that. And then we were able to, when I get to a place, we were able to kind of quasi retire. And moved to Florida, still had the kids in school, and we were kind of like, all right, what are we going to do now? My wife's owned Pilates studios, so we had one in Lakewood Ranch still, and stuff like that. So, we kind of got the itch, and that's where the pub came from. And then Outcast, was a lot to take on, like almost like back to back. But
I'm catching a trend. So what's next?
It's a great question. We thought there's days that we're like, what are we thinking? I could have been on the water right now instead of looking at the price of cod, Atlantic cod. You know what I mean? Right. But I don't know. Like we're gonna. I think Outcast. It'll be interesting. To see kind of like futurize like where we go there. We've had some interest from some different places in Hillsborough County talking to us about like, oh, you guys should maybe make the trek across the bay.
Different world.
And see, it is a completely different world. But it's I think right now for us it's going to be kind of we got to wait and see. With like we were talking about earlier with the THC kind of fad. Like okay, where does that go?
Maybe there's an opportunity there.
Maybe there is, with the law. We got to see what happens with the,
Yep.
We were talking about earlier, the feds just reclassified those hemp-based products. So we've got a year to kind of still play in those waters before it gets muddy, and then we got to figure out what they're going to do next. So I'm kind of waiting, like the folks at like High Rise, they're a South Carolina company that makes one of the most popular THC drinks. I think, it's not a commercial for them, but I think their product's great from a flavor palette. Like it doesn't taste like you're, drinking something weird. It's just like good. They bring in samples, we try them. I'm kind of waiting to see what because they're like one of the industry kind of pioneers with that.
It's interesting you say it because I'm trying to think through. I mean, maybe I'm just not in the right demographic. I was at a fitness event and I saw there was a tent there with the THC drink, but I haven't been that exposed to it.
Yeah,
But head's also in the sand. I don't leave a 5-block radius of St. Pete, so I don't.
Depending on where you go, I can tell you like from for a lot of businesses from the insurance perspective, it does cost more to sell it because insurance still sees it as a risk,
right?
A higher risk,
yeah,
which is kind of odd,
yeah,
because usually the risks that are associated with alcohol, you don't typically see the same risk with THC.
They don't have enough data to underwrite it, so they have to cost it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they just don't have enough data.
You see the same thing with like the kava craze.
Yeah.
A lot of insurance companies won't will not let you do kava.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like one of those places that are like, we don't know what this is.
Yeah.
For us, like our insurance company was great. We worked with them, and we don't sell like enough of that, like to a degree that it becomes a problematic, for us. But I'm curious to see where that goes. The liquor stores are selling them now. So a funny story, I was in North Carolina a few weeks ago. And I was there's a ski resort up there. I was at the grocery store getting some stuff. And I watched probably like 8 groups of like 20-somethings come in to the grocery store. Not a single one of those groups had even a 6-pack of beer in their cart. They had all THC drinks. And I was like, man, this is what we're literally seeing, becoming the trend.
Great. People watching is the best consumer. Like, it's your front lines.
Yeah, you see everything.
Watch what human behavior now times that, on scale, and you're like, okay, makes sense.
Yep.
I'm intrigued now that you tell me about this, because I love watching consumer behavior.
Yep.
Like, to get in the even from a real estate perspective, where I'm asking the agents here. We have 215 agents. How are your open houses this weekend? Because the market data is always going to be lagging. We know firsthand how many people are coming through open houses, and that tells us what's happening in the market. And what are people doing in the airport? What are they buying?
Yep.
How are they? Right. So I love that you're watching that, and that is very interesting data on a whole different demographic.
Yeah,
and that is the next wave. And you're right. I mean, if I on my own social media, I can name probably 3 or 4 viral doctor or neuroscientists or someone of that nature just poo-pooing all over alcohol.
All over it.
And, I just did 90 days, 100% sober, starting from December to March. Richie, I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt so good. Once you get over that hump,
Yep.
After 90 days, I was like, I went skiing with my dad. And we're drinking Fireball on the lift or whatever, to get one. We're having a good time. But later that night, like I drove them home.
Yeah,
I drank club soda and lime. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't need it.
Yep.
So it is we're just becoming more aware. I think there's more data now that makes us more aware of our health. And I think there's a place for alcohol. And I think when the relationship changes with it, like, oh, here's a celebratory moment. Here's a thing that I'm choosing. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to have a beer. It's like, no, I'm excited to have that beer.
Yeah.
Like Reggae Rise Up over the weekend, I had like 2 or 3 of those tall can things. And I was a little hungover on Sunday, but I was like happy for it.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a fun time.
Yep.
It wasn't like, oh man, I feel like shit.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like you said, the viral doctor things. Like that's what you're seeing. That's where the stuff's coming from. Even me. Like, my wife and I, we like kind of did the same thing. Like a challenge. Like, hey, like let's cut back. Like we're eating, and I think a lot of it is not just alcohol. It's American diet to begin with. We eat so much crap, and once you get out of it, like I didn't do sugar like at all. For like,
ooh, what was that like?
For like 9 weeks. The first 3 weeks was literal hell.
Because
my body
like,
only wanted sugar. It's like everything was like, it was almost like, you were like some kind of hypnotic. I like walk into the grocery store and like every candy bar is like, hello. And I'm like, not today, Satan. And it just, it was rough. But once I got over that hump, now. If I just got off of this and I forget what I drank the other day. It was something like not even alcohol or anything. It was just whatever it was. And I was like, this is so unbearably sweet. And I start to understand where you see those videos where they take like people from Europe and they come over here and they're like, I cannot even this is disgusting what you guys are drinking, or eating. And you're like, tastes fine to me. Like, what are you talking about? And you realize it's just, from the carb level, the sugar layer, all this stuff that we are just eating so much of this stuff that, if we get that part right again, then the alcohol is not nearly as bad. But if you're eating, 2 pounds of potatoes and, candy bars and you're drinking, sugary stuff all day long and then you throw 5 beers on top of it, yeah, it's going to stick to you in a way that at, my age, I don't want it to stick anymore. And so what do you have to do? You have to figure out,
Something be said, I love that you said that. Even drinking in Europe, I don't feel anything like I do when I drink here, right? Like the wines or beer, whatever.
Yep.
It's just different. Like whatever the ingredients are and everything like that. Even the bread, everything, you know. So yeah, we got to get that right. And I think that's what makes St. Pete cool. We're pretty health conscious, right? And so like yourself and others, like, you know, you're importing ingredients. We're doing these things. We're mindful of it. And as a society, I think with the spread of information, right, good and bad, one, you just said earlier, right, it seems like the politics are louder than ever. And that is louder because we're more exposed, but doesn't mean that the issues are any worse than they were 50 years ago.
100%.
Right. And so now and the positive is now we're also more exposed to the pros of health and wellness, of global health and wellness, and what's happening in our food system, which is a pro. I could go on a whole tangent about what I think is going to happen with the internet and AI, but it's a whole nother thing. Do you use AI at all?
We do.
Yeah.
We do use AI. So I'm like, look.
What's your AI of choice right now?
It depends on what I'm doing. I use ChatGPT a lot, not in the sense that most people use it. You know, I just turned my parents onto it, and my dad's like was going through a little cancer thing, and so he was trying to figure out some of his treatments. I'm like, dude, like, don't Google it. I'm gonna use ChatGPT. He's like, I don't even know what that is, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it for you, and I'm gonna send it to you. So get the download. Yeah. He's like, what is this thing? He's like, this thing knows everything. He's like, it even told me like who to email. And I was like, yeah, like this is next level stuff. So I mean, I use it for. I mean, I can run a P&L for 3 years, and I can take all of our invoices from food costs and throw it in to ChatGPT and go, show me the trend. Like, where are we at? What would have taken me, like, to go line by line through all those things? And that would have taken forever. It takes it 30 seconds, and it gives me a really quick viewpoint. And then I can say, I can send it on little adventures. I also use a thing called Motion AI, and it runs, like, my life, basically, calendars and appointments, and I love it because I am usually the king of double booking myself. Because I just have multiple calendars. My wife is usually awesome. She was my first AI. But now, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's fantastic, and I can send it like it goes to our meetings and gives me an executive level, summary of our meeting.
I'm gonna give you a little gift. Go download Claude for a month. Pay the $20. Give the same prompt to Claude and documents as you do ChatGPT. Shoot me a text and tell me which one you want to use afterwards.
All right, I'll check it out. Because I've used Grok too.
Claude is making ChatGPT feel like fifth grader.
That's what I've heard.
It's I have the whole team switched over. I mean, I was using ChatGPT for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like in the trend, I've been ahead of most, not pioneer, but ahead of most on the AI front. And just like 60 days ago, one of my really nerdy AI friends was like, dude, only rookies are using ChatGPT now. Like, all the nerds are in Claude. I tried it out, and I was like, oh, my God, I can't go back.
So much better.
So much better. Now, I caveat, the models could change next week, and it could be something else. But in this moment, the output on Claude is just ridiculous. Megan, would you agree? Yeah. Megan's our tech trainer. Like, there's no comparison right now.
I gotta definitely check it out because I love it. It is also, I will say, I think for a lot of people in the country, it's also super scary.
Oh, for sure. Because now, just like the sugar and the dopamine high that we get from the food, we're getting it from the same way of well, now I don't have to do this work, and then people aren't fact checking, they're not triple check. I like to use it as a thinking partner, not a black and white, here's my answer partner.
Correct.
Help me think through a strategy.
Yeah.
And point out things that I might have missed, and let me then fact check those and still use my brain.
Exactly. It's a tool, not like the final solution to, human cognitive, no. Somebody still needs to tell it how to think.
Yeah.
To a degree. Now, it's brilliant. Now. It's brilliant what it can do.
Oh, yeah.
And my little brother's he codes and does a lot of stuff like that. A company up in Minnesota, and they started using it for a lot of their coding.
They have to, or they'll get fired.
And it's insane. Like I'm like a level 2 probably coder and I see what it can do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Like that. Not only can I just have to go find this is a template and I can go find the lines to change what I want. No. This thing is doing what I'm telling it to do faster than we could compute it and then turn it into keystrokes, right? So the future there is wild. But yeah, we use it all the
That's
time.
right. You have to. I feel like to make like smarter, faster business decisions.
Yep.
My favorite. So I learned this from another AI expert. I'll give this to you as well, and for everyone listening, the format's called CRIT. CRIT. So it's context, role, interview, task. And I wasn't big. Like I've heard people saying, "Oh, prompt, do this, that." This is a game changer. And the biggest part of okay, context. I'm a business owner. Here's my businesses. Here's everything that I have. Here's what I'm looking to do. Blah 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 blah. Role. Analyze this as a top executive from Deloitte or whatever, and tell me best strategy. Here's an interview. Interview me up to 5 questions, 1 question at a time, to find out more context or angles that I might not be thinking about the business. Task, give me a full report, summary, blah, 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 blah. That interview part, because the AI is so smart, knows and asks you questions that you never would have even thought to give it.
Yeah.
And then it uses that data on top of everything else and just crushes the output.
Those are the difference. In how you prompt it determines the level of response that you're going to get. If you just go, hey, I own Outcast, what should I do to increase business? I'm going to get nothing.
Right.
But if I say, very specific things that we're looking for, one of the things that honestly, that saves me eons of time with ChatGPT, especially right now, is I send it on missions to go find beer names because
I love that. Go on a mission.
we have to name the beers, and you can't name, and there's so many craft breweries across the country that you don't want to get a cease and desist off something that's, really clever that you came up with. So we have to run all of our beer name ideas.
Yeah.
We threw it, and it goes and looks at Untapped. It goes and looks at state registries, everything, and the feds, and it comes back and it's like, no, this is clear. I found one instance of this used, in a microbrewery in France, and you're like, well, we're fine there.
Right.
That's
so
cool.
Cool.
And you're like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That it would have taken
eons of time. And the creativity, and we could go on forever. I mean, it's cool, and I think St. Pete's so entrepreneurial, and there's tech stuff happening, and it'll be interesting. I think that's the hardest part about that development project of the world's changing at hyper speed right now.
Yep.
So and at a project of that scale that you're it's going to take 30 years to complete. Well, the world's going to look so
much
different, right? The world, did it change that much from the 50s to 80s?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, right? 80s to 2010. Yeah, internet started to come around. 2020 to 2050.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, you think the Gen X, my generation. We were the kind of the split children of we grew up with nothing except a VCR. As most, or a laser disc back then, which was the dumbest thing they ever came up with. These giant records. You got to play a movie on, and it takes 3 of them.
Right.
Till all of a sudden the internet. I mean, I remember my freshman year of college, when midway through my freshman year, they switched the library's card catalog to being on the intranet at school. Mm-hmm. And we thought that was we're I could just look up a book here and it tells me, wow, that's crazy, And to think now that I'm sitting here talking about, telling my computer to go find me market research on, the trends of the global alcohol market, and it comes back with a 10-pager that's super beneficial, and you're like, oh, it took 12 seconds. You know what I mean? To see that kind of stuff happen in our timeline. I mean, you think about even air travel. Mm-hmm. Delta and American Airlines are they're 100 years.
Wow.
That we've been doing air travel, and the first, 50 of it was pretty laughable.
Do you know where the first commercial flight was?
It was from St. Pete to Tampa.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And that little, you see that thing and you're like, somebody paid money to get in that?
The mayor.
Yeah.
The mayor.
Fly across the bay.
Yeah. It wasn't even just a person. It was a pretty important person.
Yeah.
Let's put him in that thing. It was a lawnmower engine.
Basically,
Fly him across the bay.
And an old wooden lawn chair that is bolted to the floor, you hoped,
Yeah. Things were different.
Yeah. And now I can I can fly across the planet and be there in a reasonable amount of time, pretty much anywhere. I mean, Tampa's the airport now. So many international direct destinations now that you can go. I was shocked. I was in there the other day flying out. My son going on a college visit, and they got Delta's now flying direct to Amsterdam from Tampa.
Wow. Tampa is by far the best airport in the world.
100%. It is the most efficient. Actually, they did a study on that airport because they did such a great job with the layout of that airport. It's why you never have issues at Tampa with lines and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
They did it brilliantly. And so many other airports are just locked into what they had originally done, and Tampa didn't get like big until they already had way too much data on what not to do. And I think they've done a phenomenal job.
It's the best. I mean, I can literally drive there, park my car, and get to the gate in 12 minutes or less.
Yes.
I have TSA pre-check.
Me too.
However, to lock the car to the gate, less than 12 minutes. I can't break 12 minutes. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's like my goal every time
I
I
try.
go.
I literally, I live in Pinellas Park now.
Yeah.
And I will leave 32 minutes before boarding my house. And I will still get to the airport, get into the gate, and still have time to like stand there for a few minutes.
Yeah,
and
grab a
then
water, use the bathroom, do whatever you got to do for
board the plane and go. And I mean, St. Pete Airport, awesome too. Like what they're doing there, and the Allegiant. As much as people give them, it's fantastic little airline because everywhere they fly is direct.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, the fact that I'm originally from Harrisburg area in Pennsylvania, direct flight, boom, 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm never leaving.
No.
I'm never leaving, Richie.
It's so great.
When you're not working, how are you spending your time in St. Pete?
Usually on the water. We love to be on the water a lot. Play golf.
Yeah?
Love the golfing.
Where do you like to golf?
We live in Bayou Club, so we
nice.
play there a lot.
Beautiful.
Anywhere else that we can find. Me and my younger son just played up at Sawgrass a few weeks ago.
Nice.
When they had President's Day weekend. That was super fun. It was like the last tee time before they got ready for the players. So
cool.
It was really cool. Exciting stuff there. Usually we're up in Gainesville, watching the Gators play football
awesome.
or basketball or whatever.
It's great. If it's your birthday and you can't pick your own spots, where are we going to eat?
Oh man, if it's my birthday,
We have to stay in St. Pete.
we gotta stay in St. Pete. Man, honestly, I would probably now. I know it's gonna sound like super biased and like my own commercial. I'd probably go to the pub.
No, you can't go there.
I can't go there.
Yeah, for some reason it's closed.
Oh, what's the place that does Horse and Soldier?
Yep. Come on, what is it, Megan? You know it. It's down near 22nd.
Yep. Why can't I not? Think
I know.
of the
I'm
name?
picturing it. I see the inside. I see the fireplace.
Yeah.
Goodness, how are we? This is funny. This is why AI is going to take over because we can
Remind me
literally
of the place that I like.
Oh, it's right there on the tip of my tongue too. Megan, are you looking it up?
I just ate there not that long ago too, so it's really frustrating that I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, we're gonna hear it. It's gonna be so funny.
I'm gonna laugh. Yeah,
It's a high-end spot downtown.
is.
It's like a steakhouse.
Yep, it's a steakhouse.
Oh, I could find this in
Them in the library. Actually,
the
like
library is
a lot
good.
too.
Yeah,
I think they have a
and people
really
have
cool vibe.
mentioned the place that we can't think of many times.
What's the name of that place?
I'm gonna find it here. No, yeah, I want to say the no. Urban Stillhouse.
Urban Stillhouse. There it is.
Goodness gravy.
Man,
That's a good spot. Good spot.
It is a great spot.
For some reason, we both were not.
We know where it is, and that's the thing about St. Pete. You can say like I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Can't tell you what it's called.
Yeah.
But I love that place. I mean, there's some like now my brain's like Juno and Peacock. I love that place too.
It's a good
they
spot.
have fantastic. Lunchtime.
Yep.
Go sit outside. Look at the water on a lovely spring day. Have a nice
It's awesome.
cocktail.
Yeah. There's so many. All right, good.
Such a foodie place, man. Like St. Pete.
I like to ask everyone that. Sometimes we get some crazy spots off the walls, but those are some good staples.
Food trucks, man. Food trucks. We got some heck of food trucks in this area.
Yeah. No, there's so many. I love walking up and down Central or Beach Drive and just saying like, what's the vibe tonight? What are we thinking? I've been eating a lot frequently at Bodega.
Bodega, yeah.
They got one of the best Cubans.
Yeah, they do.
I love that Cuban. Love it there.
Yeah.
Well, Richie, this has been a lot of fun. It feels like we could go on forever, right? Talking all the things. Where I know Outcast Brewing, any Instagrams, anything else you want to plug here at the end?
Yeah, no, we check us out on socials. I mean, there's always something going on at Outcast. The crazy thing is, as popular as it is, there's still so many people that don't know it.
Yeah.
And we do like the Berg battles all the time with I Love the Berg. And we get so many people who are like, oh, first time I've ever been here, never knew this place was here. What a crazy vibe. What a cool spot it is. And it really is like, and I have to give my wife all the credit
She
for that.
designed it?
She came in and she's just amazing. She missed her calling in life. That's what she should have done was do interior design, because she walked into that place and I mean, it was so industrial and just no warmth or, anything. And she walked in and I mean, like just whipped up a vision like that and like just ran with it and just absolutely beautiful job.
Love that. What's your wife's name?
Jill.
Jill. Shout out Jill.
Yeah,
Good job,
shout out to Jill. She's awesome. Scott, our head brewer, he's throwing out some great recipes. We got some new beers about to launch too, so we're excited about some of those things.
So cool, man. I love it.
We got an American IPA that's about to come out called Dumpster Diver.
Nice.
We like to play off of our raccoon. Everyone loves the raccoon.
Yeah,
That's our mascot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we call him
okay,
Roscoe.
Okay. How Roscoe come
Funny
into the
story. So we got into this whole Outcast, calling ourselves Outcast. And I was like, but what are you going to do for a logo? Like, we need something. Like, it can't just be the barley in a mug, it's just so overplayed and just so I don't know. I wanted something unique, because the place was so unique. And I was like, what's an Outcast? Is it like an animal? And I'm like, oh, a raccoon. I'm like, everyone loves and hates raccoons.
Yeah, it's true.
If you see a raccoon at a petting zoo, you're like, oh, it's cute. Let me hold it. Can I touch it? And then, but if you have a raccoon in your yard at night,
you're like, get out of
here.
You're
like, with the broom, shooing them away.
Right.
Get out of the car. And so that was where that idea came from. I'm like, it's the perfect animal to represent who we are. And we had a muralist locally here, Ashley Brown, who really came in and kind of helped with the whole idea behind Roscoe. I wanted to put a giant hamster thing in the tap room and have a raccoon that just lived there, that people would see it running around the stuff all the time. But we kind of figured that probably wouldn't go over well with the health department and a lot of other
insurance
things that would
he
probably
actually gets out and
he
into
falls,
the beer.
bad for business.
Yeah.
But yeah, the I didn't wear any of the merch today. I probably should have, but the raccoon on the hat, so many people love that colorful. We call him Colorful Roscoe that we did. That our merch is just taken off. So
that's cool.
So yeah,
that's cool. I gotta come out and bring the gang. We'll hang out.
Yeah, bring the gang. Come out. We'll get you guys hooked up. It's been lovely, man. But Irish Pub on 4th too is a great spot. If you're looking for some live, real Irish music from Irish guys,
cool.
Friday and Saturday nights, it's a place to be.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. For those that are still with us, Richie, what's one word that they can comment below?
One word they can comment below.
Yep. It's like a secret word.
Ooh. Roscoe Gibbs.
Roscoe Gibbs. You heard it here, everyone. Go check out Outcast Brewing. You heard it here. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and recommend the next guest. We'll take recommendations as well. There's a link in our bio on Instagram for you to fill out our next guest recommendation. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. See you on the next one.